My name is Michael Mack. I'm a cardiac surgeon and the medical director of cardiovascular disease in the Baylor Healthcare System in Dallas. I am joined by Dr. Jed Irwin, who is an intensivist at the Heart Hospital Baylor Plano, and Mary Davis, who is the fiance of Randy Travis. We would like to update you as to Mr. Travis's condition since our last statements early last week. As events have occurred, it's like putting pieces of a puzzle together. It's been much clearer as to what events transpired and what Mr. Travis's medical condition is. On Sunday, July 7th, he was admitted through the emergency room of Baylor McKinney Hospital, whereupon he was put on life support. He was then transferred here to the Heart Hospital Baylor Plano for a higher level of support. For the first 48 hours after transfer, he required mechanical devices to support his circulation and his heart. His heart did respond positively to that, and after a 48-hour period of time, we were able to wean him from that support. During this period of time of resuscitation, he suffered a stroke. As a result of that stroke, pressure built up in his brain that required an emergency neurosurgical operation to relieve that pressure. That operation was successful, and Mr. Travis has awakened since that operation. In terms of putting together the sequence of medical events, we were concerned initially that he had an acute viral myocarditis as a cause of this. As we're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together, he did suffer an acute viral illness over the past 3 weeks, but that seems to have tipped over a more chronic condition. He has what's called idiopathic cardiomyopathy, which means he has scarring of his heart muscle that is causing his heart to be weak and not able to support his circulation without help of either medical devices or medication. We performed a biopsy of his heart muscle, and it shows scar tissue. It does not show active infection. From the appearance on echocardiograms, which are images of his heart, this is not the appearance of either drugs or alcohol causing the heart condition. Mr. Travis does have a family history of cardiomyopathy, and it is more likely related to that. At the current time, Mr. Travis's condition is stabilized, and I would like to turn to Dr. Jed Irwin for a further update. Jed?
Thank you. As Dr. Mack mentioned previously, Mr. Travis is no longer requiring any mechanical devices to help support his heart. He does remain on intravenous medications to help support his heart, but we are decreasing the doses of those every day and actually beginning to start him on oral medications, which he will use long term to help support his heart. As a result of his heart condition acutely and the stroke, he was put on a ventilator to help him breathe during his hospitalization. He remains on that, but we are decreasing that support daily. He is breathing spontaneously with the help of the ventilator and hope to have him weaned off of that very soon, breathing completely on his own. In terms of his stroke, he has responded well to the surgical procedure he had to relieve the pressure in his brain. We're seeing improvements in brain scans showing decreased swelling in his brain. He is awake, alert, interacting with his family and friends, and beginning to start doing some early physical therapy. We do anticipate that he will need to stay here at the Heart Hospital for another 2 to 3 weeks to stabilize his heart, during which time we will begin aggressive physical therapy. After he's discharged from here, we anticipate transfer to an inpatient facility where he can receive aggressive physical therapy. We anticipate it will take months to recover from the stroke.
I would now like to ask Mary Davis, Randy's fiance, to say a few words. Mary?
Thank you. First and foremost, I just want to thank the friends, the family, the outpouring of love and affection that has shown up at the hospital and at home and through several different avenues of support. I know that those are prayers that have helped mend his heart, along with the skilled hands of the physicians and the doctors and nurses here at the Heart Hospital of Baylor in Plano. I know that Randy feels each and every one of those. He feels the hands of the doctors and the care of the nurses and the love of his fans. His friends and family have all been touched by that. He is responding well to voices, and he sees and he understands, and he's miles beyond where any of us thought he would be a few days ago. It's heartwarming to see that we have such a strong person under there that's willing to fight with us, and we all know now that we had greatness to work with, and we ask for your continued support. I know that Randy will be so touched by that when he gets to understand when he understands the magnitude of it all. So thank you, and I appreciate everything everybody has done here at the hospital to give us the outcome that we've received, with the understanding now in retrospect that this could have occurred anywhere at any time, and we were in the finest place we could be to have the best outcome that we could ever have. Thank you.
Although Mr. Travis is still in critical condition, it has stabilized. We do not anticipate significant changes on a daily basis, but we will keep you informed as his condition improves.
Do you believe we are alone in the universe?
Two men say that a series of events dating back to 2012 have let them know that there is extraterrestrial life out there. WWAY's Holden Kowicki has more in the lead at 5:30. It's only on 3.
In the beginning, I was very nervous at times. Being a family man with young children, these lights are happening very close to my home. Very, very close, just several hundred feet away, and oftentimes not much higher than the trees.
Brendan Brodsky and Joe Kiernan are two everyday guys who claim to see lights in the Carolina sky that are out of this world.
Most of the time it starts off with one orb, of one orange orb that's almost see-through, and then they'll string out, almost like they birth out of each other. And there's no sound, there's no helicopters, airplanes, nothing that could be explained.
Natural skeptics, the men have taken their sightings to the authorities, and more often than not, are left searching for answers.
We've called many times the FAA to see if there's been any pilot reports or anything reported in the sky in that area at the time. We've checked with Shaw Air Force Base to see if they had any training exercises going on. And usually on these very high active nights, there's nothing going on at all.
While many may be scared off by the experience, the men say it has opened their mind up to a whole new world of thinking.
We are not alone. Realistically and mathematically, I don't believe it's possible. There's many more out there.
It'd just be kind of ignorant, I think, to say we're just the only life form, or the only intelligent life form in this whole universe that's constantly expanding.
In Brunswick County, Holden Kowicki, WWAY News Channel 3.
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is July 16th, 2013, and here's your news updates for today. In the breaking news, Gas meter fires explosion causing evacuations in 4-block radius of Ulaga, Oklahoma. That's coming up at KJRH2HD. So heads up. Gas meter fires. I don't know if they have smart meters on there or what's going on, but heads up. Also, the watchers watching the world. New tropical depression formed in northwest Pacific. Earthquake swarm under Mount Churchill volcano in Alaska. Also, if you go on to NOAA, strange storm. It's going backwards. It's going from east to west. Wow, kind of weird, huh? Heads up on that. And I guess there's going to be a second supermoon this month coming up. Alright, let's see here. Moving on. Second supermoon in a short span, that's what I say. Alright. NASA's Hubble telescope discovers new Neptune moon. Heads up on that. Significant earthquake swarm reported at Costa Rica's Terriel Bob volcano. So heads up on that. Let's go into the E&E news, energy news. Not a lot of news out today. Other than what I found, and I attached a lot of news. Some on Randy Travis, his updates. A couple friends asked me to do that, commentators. And so I researched it and found some information for you guys. It came out yesterday. Let's see what else we got. Okay, E&E news, energy news. Japan biologist. Radioactive contamination from Fukushima disaster is most reasonable explanation for butterfly deaths and abnormalities. I think maybe this is a very touchy issue politically. Well, why don't we not do it politically and state it scientifically? How's that? MSN publishes report on freaky fruits and vegetables said to be from areas around Fukushima nuclear plant. Wow. More mutations. Heads up. Let's see here. U.S. Canada. Let's see if there's something there. Emergency declared after mysterious failure at U.S. nuke plant. Nuclear engineer a serious situation. Let's see where that is. That's today. See if I can get you a name out of that. Hopefully you're not by one. Okay, let's see which nuke plant this one is. Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station mysteriously shut down at 12:30 a.m. Monday and just as mysteriously restarted at 2:05 a.m. Heads up! The system failure required Entergy, the Louisiana-based owner and operator of the Pilgrim plant, to report an unusual event to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Heads up, unusual event. I wouldn't be by that plant now. I guess everybody move out of the way. Everything's so mysterious. They just don't know why. They're incompetent then, and they need to get out of there, out of that industry. They shouldn't be running it. If everything's a mystery and they don't know what's going on, I think that's called incompetence. Crimes against humanity. Alright, it never ends, does it? It's never going to now. Alrighty then. I don't know about you, but it seems like the run for politics and the politicians have not stopped their campaigning since the last election, and it's to me it's getting kind of tiresome that they just keep going now year round and term round now that they don't stop running or whatever they're doing or trying to get votes all year round now, and campaigning, that's it, campaigning all after the campaign was over. It hasn't stopped, has it? It's getting pretty tiring. I think a lot of mainstream viewers don't want to hear about it anymore, right? That's what I think. There's just been campaigning since the last campaign. It has not stopped. Alrighty then. I think voters are getting sick of hearing this stuff. Alrighty then. Well, at least I am. How's that? Alright. So, it is now 2 days down. It's Tuesday evening. 3 to go before the weekend. Stay tuned. Lots of weird news coming out of Ireland. I guess there was something that happened in a court, and I guess this is some crazy videos. Also, I guess it was a pillow fight instead of a riot out there in Ireland also. So stay tuned. And I guess I got a cicada on there. UFOs. I'm attaching it all. It's going to take a few minutes. Hang in there, and I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Be safe. And if you live by a nuclear plant, I don't know, man. I think you should try not to live by there. I don't think it increases your property value after a while. Alright, take care. Be prepared for anything. Alrighty then. See you on the flip side tomorrow.
With the Nutimedical report, and you've got some inside information. Paul Martin contacted me last night, and I talked to him this morning about the recent conference between government departments, DHS, etc., and a number of international scientists. One of the scientists came out and made the bold statement that the H7N9 out of China was a advanced recombinant bioweapon. We know that the Hajj is on right now. When people start returning in the next few months, August, September, from Saudi Arabia, we're going to start seeing some major surges in the MERV-CoV-2, the coronavirus, the Middle Eastern respiratory coronavirus. I expect to see an airborne plague hit us early this fall. I could be wrong, it may be delayed, and maybe a new recombinant is required where it has to mix with H3N2 to make it more dangerous. But my guess is the case fatality rate, if it gets into deep lungs, is 80%. Many cases are very mild for the coronavirus, but if it gets in your deep lungs, you're in the ICU and 80% chance of dying in Saudi Arabia and other countries in Europe. The CLV, the H7N9, is 36% case fatality rate, which is 9 times higher than even in third world countries around the world at the 1918 flu, and 18 times higher than the case fatality rate in 1918 to 1920 here in America, which is 2.5%. That's a big deal. It means that it's going to shut things down tighter than a drum. People need to be prepared with our first-line defense kit, our Nutridyne, Allicin-Med, Alimax, Alimed, our nutraceuticals or NIOSH masks. They need to be prepared for civil defense, for food, water, shelter, and extra water supplies. They need to get ready now, NOW now, because you need to get your health in place now. That's the first prep. You need to make sure you're fit physically. You're taking natural medicine, not drugs. You need to be up to speed on your, basic life support, basic trauma support, CERT training with your local fire department. You need to be ready because things are going to start rocking and rolling, aren't they?
Yes, and I have some disturbing news about that. The center that is being used to analyze the animal samples that they're bringing in from Saudi Arabia to try to find the host for this MERS, for the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus, is is a network of northeastern laboratories and institutions of learning. So these samples are not even being analyzed by the National Biodefense Laboratories. And
Right.
I'm not sure. I looked at the website. They don't say that they have the capabilities of a biolab level 3.
Well, they're BSL-3 certified, and what they're doing is they're handling what's called BSL-4 specimens, which is negative pressure in full isolation and total body suits. The guy I trained under back 40 years ago was actually the BSL facility when the virus got out of containment and all his colleagues died because he was not there that day with the flu. What people need to understand is that this is nothing to play around with, and these so-called universities, many of them like the University of New Orleans when Katrina struck, didn't have BSL-4 certified facility levels. Anybody could have walked in there past the chain link fence and grabbed those bioweapons. They weren't properly secured with security officers, didn't have negative pressure. I mean, it's just stupid what they're doing. And a lot of these weapons don't take a whole lot of biological steps and equipment, you know, a few $1 million, and away you go, you've got an advanced bioweapon. So when they created viruses like this advanced, you know, H5N1 new recombinant that's a super virus, they actually built what they call the Armageddon virus. It's sitting there. People say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. I said, you need an interesting skill. It's called reading. You need to read. You know, I get sick and tired of people trying to pretend that Dr. Deagle is just, man, he's weird. Why does he say these things? Is he negative? No, I'm positive. I want you to survive. I want our government to kind of start doing what they're supposed to do, secure our borders, including aircraft coming in with can be carrying a death virus from Saudi Arabia. Because if the Hajj actually releases this virus and it comes back here to America, it can shut things down tighter than a drum. People don't understand just how, what I call a biologically triggered martial law, how ugly it'll look. They don't understand it.
Over in England, the person that they were treating who managed to transfer this virus to two other people, one in his family member and the other one his roommate in the hospital, was being treated as at a bio level of 4 out of 4. And
Right.
we are not doing the same thing. And after he died, well, actually after the doctor saw him, they were in fully contained suits, disposable suits, all the way from the top of their head to the tip of their toes. And those suits were incinerated, and I suspect all his bedding was incinerated, and hopefully his equipment too, that was used to treat him. And
exactly.
But we're not prepared to incinerate anything. Let me tell you, the biosafety level 4 is an enumerated list. In other words, those things that are handled by a biosafety level 4 laboratory have to be enumerated on a list that is maintained by somebody in the government. I suppose the president could put it on the list. But so these include Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, Ebola, Lassa fever, Machupo, Marburg, and tick-borne encephalitis virus complex, and other encephalitis and hemorrhagic fevers. They have not put on this enumerated list this MERS, and so it can't go into a biosafety level 4 laboratory. Now let me tell you what's on a biosafety level 3, which is, I hope it's in a level safety 3. And what it is that it's applicable to clinical, diagnostic, teaching, and research facilities. And they're involving indigenous or exotic strains of agents which may cause serious or potential lethal disease as a result of exposure by inhalation. We've been talking about this MERS virus for a long time. They don't know how it is passed from one person to another. They don't know.
Or how long the incubation is either. Yeah. And of course, once it's in the deep lungs, which is the only way to isolate the virus in culture, its case fatality rate is in orbit. And I want to point out a couple things from Joel Skousen's latest newsletter, which I'm going to post up. Joel's on at least twice a month, or often more often. And he listed a couple of things that people need to realize that if you just keep your eyes open, that the police state is already here. It's just not fully implemented or exercised. And he lists 5 things. Number one, police abuse of citizens' fundamental rights. Number two, courts protect members of the police state. Number three, local, state, and federal governments are complicit in squashing dissent and protecting illegal police behavior. Number four, universal government spying, which of course is obvious with Snowden, where he can't even fly over European airspace, and they brought that Bolivian jet down, literally assuming that they had found Snowden, which they were wrong. And that to me is an obscenity, and they had to apologize to the Bolivian president. And number five, government falsifies terrorism to justify tyrannical acts. And then when we look at, I had an interesting argument with an ex-military person recently when I went to a pharmacy. His first name is Eric, and he said, "Well, I think that that Obama has done stripped a lot of the powers from what Bush put in with the Patriot Act." Well, that's a false lie. Obviously, he got a little huffy about it, but the fact is, I said, "No, that's not true." I said, "You put in the not only executive orders, including the latest one, which basically." It has a very long and protracted term on in terms of taking over all communications with DHS. But no, that's not true at all. And the fact is we have a situation now where DHS can, and Obama can grab literally everybody's communications and shut them down during a state of national emergency. This is not open to discussion. We've got the National Defense Authorization Act, the Appropriations Act, and this latest executive order. We have a turnkey system now. All they need is the slightest crisis, a bond market blowout, an airborne plague, coronal mass ejection. You just take, I call the devil's health kitchen menu. There's a whole lot of things that could happen that could bring some level, whether it's a bank holiday where you got guys with flak jackets, ski masks at every bank, and your ATM card only allows you to withdraw X number of dollars per day, even if you need to buy groceries or gas. One of the things the government, of course, always plans, I confronted the FEMA director back in March of 2001 because I work with these guys, and the FBI and CDC, is the very first thing they're going to do is shut off the power. They're going to clamp off communications. They even want to make sure that even repeaters can't be used by ham radio operators. And there's hams listening. They know that they can set up a repeater and every 75 miles bounce a signal all over the ionosphere and literally send everything from Morse code to encrypted communications. I will be meeting here shortly with someone with a peer-to-peer encrypted network system that we're developing, which will completely sidestep the ability of the government to block our communications.
The virus taken from an insect-eating bat looked to be a match for the MERS virus, and this was when he went on his first trip to Saudi Arabia last October. And but he said the sample in the shipment arrived in poor condition, essentially ruined. Well, they don't have a way to get rid of these samples. I mean, that's credible. Did he throw them in the trash? Did he send them to the government laboratory?
Well, they don't get in the trash. They have to be incinerated.
Just doesn't make sense.
Well, what we have is we had a few years ago, in 2009, one of the chief virologists from Canberra, who has been the virologist for the Canberra and Australian government for 30 years and was developing Relenza with the major drug companies. That was the primary drug we use now against H1N1, H5N1. He came out and said that the virus H1N1 was a triple recombinant virus, which means it's a lab virus. This last week, I just got a call last night from Paul Martin that the H7N9 from China is a triple recombinant, which means it's a lab virus. These guys are ready. They got all the nations of the world signed up to say we're going to hand over our military and our medical system to you, the United Nations and the World Health Organization, if we have an airborne plague. They're not going to get cooperation from the public unless they have something like an airborne plague and a bond market blowout. We have them. The timing tells me that sometime in the next 6 to 18 months we're going to have those things happen. And of course we know Bernanke's going, which means they're already having earthquakes and foreshocks from the stock market. We know an airborne plague is coming because they want a new financial system. The charter for the Federal Reserve, the charter for the tax system, the income tax, is over Christmas Eve. You remember the show The Nightmare Before Christmas? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? This Christmas Eve, the Federal Reserve is done. The IRS is done.
At the end of the
so they're going to replace it with something.
At the end of the calendar year?
It's Christmas Eve is when the 100 years is up.
Oh, okay.
This year.
Okay.
Right, so they have to actually institute something to replace it. is, they might try to do something like give a flat tax or whatever. Even if it was something that could make sense, they'll do a twist that'll be nasty. Like a biometric world ID system where they can track everything. Remember now, the word that I heard from the guys working on the virtual world project is, if we can control your SIM, we've got control of you. And I can tell people specific details. I've had Tex Mars, who wrote the Operation Lucid. They have a cybernetic copy of you and your entire database in an operational data architecture system of schema of knowing your whereabouts. That's why you can even buy these little tags for your cell phone. Your whereabouts down to a cubic meter, your purchasing products, your friends. Now they got Facebook, Twitter, and all these things. These are all basically NSA, CIA, data gathering and things with these so-called proxy inventors out there that supposedly are so brilliant. Now, the fact is, these are all plans to bring in a globalist cybernetic control matrix, and as Joel Skousen says, all 5 parts of it are fully operational. They just haven't even exercised it all yet because they don't want to freak out the wildebeest herd, i.e. of Americans. But they're waiting. Timing.
By the way, we reached a UV index of 10 today.
Yeah, and you know, we're getting more and more reports of people and their animals even being burnt outside. Don't go out between 10 and 2:30. Don't.
July 11, 2013. I guess this is one of those cicadas. Ooh. He's hanging upside down right now. Pretty good size. Probably about 1.5 inches or so long. Got suction on the legs. Anyway, I thought I'd upload this, let everybody see it. Get as close as I can. He's just... Ooh. Wow. That's crazy looking. Cool. Oh, there's more. Alright. There he is.
Okay, no, he's loosening it. Just bear him, he's loosening it for him. Right, just bear with him. Bear with him.
We're human beings in this room, right?
We need to work.
They're not organic robots. Remember that, right?
Be quiet, please. Up until this point. This has been a peaceful demonstration up to this point. It needs to remain so. Be quiet! He's trying to sort it out. Hey, just calm down. I'm going to put him in. Guys, if you just let me concentrate on, if you give me my word, you give me your word, you will be calm and collected. We all will. Right, you guys, can you just back up? Let it go! Let it go! Get on with it, Ray. Keep quiet! I need to educate the constables. If you don't let me do it, what can I do? Quiet! Constables! This court has been seized under an ancient law in this country that exists in law today called Magna Carta. Article 61 says that we have the right to arrest the judge who doesn't provide his oath, and The Queen will back us up on that because it's in the Magna Carta, that's still law, and the article says we have the right to seize a court where we deem that court to be unlawful.
Amen.
That is what's happened today, and you are officers of the common law, and if you do not respect the common law, which is greater than legal legislation every time, if you read the law books, then you are in breach of the peace yourselves. Do you understand that? And now, if you look at how many court cases that will end up out of this and how many witnesses that are going to turn up at each one of these court cases, do you really want that? Because we don't, but we'll go there if we have to. Stop! Okay. Now, these constables, to the greater degree today, I'm sure you'll agree, have been kind, pleasant, and worked with us. Deborah and Mike have worked with us today. Okay. Now, there's an allegation. There is an allegation that this man has assaulted this woman. Okay. Now that needs to be tried in a common law court and not a legal court, which is going to be a stitch-up. We know that. Now we need to tell you, officers, that one of two things can happen here today.
That's good listening.
Your name? Your name, sorry? Well, PC 5378 and PC 785.
Because we're witnesses to this, right? We are all witnesses.
All these people are going to turn up and witness against you. You cannot win a case on that equity, sir. You can't win. That's your word against how many other people? Did any of these people see this man assault this woman?
No! You haven't done anything. So listen, boys, Intimidation!
Constables, confirm your own! Sorry, we're not leaving! Constables, confirm your own! Hang on a minute!
Let him go, let's all leave! Let him go and let's all get out of here! You let him go, we'll go! End the problem, right? Stand down, right? That's the end of it.
How many coppers are you going to need?